Good morning. How's everybody today? This is our next video in the employee leadership series videos here on YouTube. And today I'm going to start talking about specific leadership skills. I've covered a lot of things from the perspective of observation from a little higher level. I talked about what does it mean to gather skills to be a leader. And now I'm going to start the next section of this, which is really an examination of the individual. So for the most part, it's the leader's responsibility to adjust to the employees they have, whether they're non-management employees or they're a lower level management team. It's the leader's job to make the adjustments because we are the motivators. And we don't motivate anybody when we expect them to adjust to us. We motivate people when we adjust to them and bring everything together. So if you can just imagine, if you had 7 or 8 employees and they're all different, we adjust to them so that we know what's important to them, so that we can lead them as individuals, not machines. Pardon the harsh comparison, but that's many times it comes down to that. It's really the difference between leading and managing people. If you lead people, you pay attention to them as individuals, and they will follow you because you care about their well-being. If you try to manage people, they're going to get the feeling like they're nothing more than a number. And that doesn't help. That doesn't work. It works for a while, but not very long. So hopefully through this series of videos, I will save you from the pain of the other alternative. All right. So let's take a look. What are some foundations of management? Now, again, we're examining this from the individual themselves. So as I talk about these things, I examine these in myself constantly. And I've done this for a long time. So I know it works. So when I first get started and I first start to train somebody, my first examination is inside. Who is the person? What are their characteristics? What rough edges need to be smoothed out? And we do that by just examining a bunch of traits and you see where everybody lines up. So here we go. So for me, the foundation of management is values. It works every time. So values, we have honesty, integrity, and sincerity are examples. So the first question is, who are you? Who am I in this comparison? How do I line up with these values? Here's another thing, and we don't think of this one very often, but over my years, I have seen this play a factor. Who is the company you work for? Now, if you are self-employed and you are an entrepreneur, the answer is you, right? You are you. The people that report to you, that you bring onto your new growing business, it's you, right? If you're in a corporation, then you need to have a really good feel about who they are as a company and what their values are. I was very fortunate to be raised in the corporate world at UPS. UPS is a tremendous organization with high levels of integrity. That was very comfortable for me. That's not the case all the time. So the importance of that question is simply this. Who are you following? And is it possible that someplace along the line, you may have to compromise your value to fit somebody else's? That's an important question, one that's not thought of very often. Okay? So we want to avoid the risk of compromise when it comes to executing our work. My papers are sticky. Bullet points to success. Don't forget what it was like to be a non-management employee. I'm going to tell you a piece of my story right here so you get the picture. When I started in management, I was 20 years old. I still lived at home. I was going to college. This is how I got started. Since I was living at home and my mom was working, she would come back and tell me how the management team was leading the people and the impact it had on her. Unfortunately, it wasn't very good. So one of my first pictures of management was what not to do. So I filed that inside and said, okay, not that way. The second one was this. And I didn't realize how great this would turn out to be until years later. When I got started at 20 years old, most of the people that reported to me were older than I was. Now, when you're 40s and 50 years old, it doesn't matter. But when you're 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and in that range, you're still going to school, you're getting your feet on the ground, and you're trying to find yourself. Reporting to somebody younger than you at that age does matter, because they're constantly looking at, where do I fit in this? So because almost everybody, could have been everybody, now that I'm thinking about it, was probably older than I was when I got started, I had to remember this, and I never, ever forgot it. Lead as you would like to be led. It's the golden rule, restated. Do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. So as I started in this role, in the management role, I had to remember who these guys were that were reporting to me. And I wanted to remember, I didn't want to trip over the fact that I was younger. So I paid a lot of attention towards knowing who these guys are and what would motivate them. And if I was in their shoes, what would I think? It's a great tool. It's a great tool. Okay, here's another one. So don't let your tie cut off the float of your head. What's the point? When you become your first, when you gain the opportunity to have your first management responsibility, it's very easy for everything to go to your head. It's like, ooh, I'm the boss now. Don't go there. So at UPS, when we became managers, we wore ties. And that's where that came from. Don't let the tie cut off the float of your head. In other words, remember where you came from. Remember the previous point. Don't forget what it was like to be a non-management employee. It's important. Be firm, fair, and friendly. This is a piece of advice I got from the district manager who promoted to me in my first management job. He told me two things. One is this. He told me, he said, Steve, you'll never leave your job in the office. That's what being a leader is. It's with you 24/7. And he was very right on that statement, right? But the second one he said was this: be firm, fair, and friendly. Firm, to be consistent. Fair, to be fair. In other words, don't get on your high horse. Be fair with people, and be friendly, but not friends. Two different words. Be friendly, be open, be somebody that you would want to engage with. Okay? Don't compromise the values that gave you your opportunity now or in the future. So you got to where you are for a reason. Somebody believed in you. Don't forget the fact that somebody believed in you, and hold on to those values. Don't lose them along the way. Put down the trumpet. Good work attracts attention. Some not so friendly, I found out. Don't compromise. It's lonely at the top, but it's also the easiest place from which to see. I went through this, where I got off to a good start. And some people didn't like the fact that I got off to a good start, but that's okay. Hey, just throw opinion, right? You keep your focus on what got you started and why you're there. It's lonely at the top, but it's the easiest place to see from. You can see further. You have a better vision of things. Let your work speak for itself. If you're in the corporate world, managers above you are looking for rising stars. Let yours rise on its own. Let it rise on its own. You don't have to broadcast who you are. You are an example of it every single day. It's this important stuff. Let your work speak for itself. So in the corporate world, managers are always looking for new people, for rising stars, because a manager, if they're doing their job correctly, they're looking for the replacement. You want to be that person. Now, it may not happen in the exact same place you are, But if you get promoted and relocate, which I did 7 times at UPS, then you're still getting the opportunity, just in a different place, right? It's all good. Humility. Here are some characteristics that allow you to be humble. Number 1, focus on the team, not you. It's the team that makes things happen. Focus on the objective. Why are we there? What's the team supposed to be doing? Focus on the objective, because the objective is always down the road. It wasn't yesterday. Yesterday's over with. Focus on the objective. Give credit to others. When your group does well, and if you lead them well, they will do well. You'll get compliments. You'll get pats on the back. They'll come to you and say, Steve, what a great job your crew did. Give the credit to where it belongs. So-and-so did that. That was so-and-so. I'm the leader. I'm going to get those comments. But man, don't keep them here. Pass them on. Tell the person that's telling you something, he's the guy that did it. Or these 3 guys worked on this. And then go and tell them, I had a compliment on your work today. Congratulations. Allow compliments to be given to you. This is an interesting one. And I'll tell you why. If someone comes up to you and gives you a compliment, even if it's the rest of your team, still, you're the one that's getting it. I learned something when I was really young, and I don't think it was the right thing, but I got it. And my parents gave it to me with good intent. And that was, be humble. Be so humble that you don't accept congratulatory comments. You don't accept compliments. They meant well, didn't work. You have to be willing to say, thank you for complimenting my team. Thank you. I appreciate your saying so. Because here's what happens. If you come back with the other way, which is where I was raised, and I said, John, thanks a lot, but it was nothing. No big deal. It's our job. Do you think that person's going to be motivated to give you another compliment when you basically just told him you made a mistake? Don't do that. If someone gives you a compliment, say thank you and share the word, right? Accept it graciously, yet humbly as well. So when it comes to humility, remember this. When it comes to all of these things, when it comes to your entire life as a leader, remember, the bottom line is this. You are serving your employees so they are motivated to work under your direction. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day.